Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 105 for Tuesday, the 11th of January 2002. I'm your host, Mark Webb, gamertag PSNID, Steam ID, Webby 360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is
Nick Fights.
And Happy New Year, everyone. It's Sensei Switch.
Hey, we got there in the end. Thanks for giving me some editing to do, everybody. So this week is our Game of the Year 2021 special. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you will know that we do wait until usually around mid-January to do our Game of the Year for the previous year. It's just so we can get a little bit more time to play some more games. And it's been a weird one this year because I look back at 2021 and I think, it wasn't really that good a year, to be fair. But then I started writing down the games and I went on to, what I always do, a little bit of some trade secrets. I go onto Wikipedia for the games that released for that year. Then I just go through the whole list and just write down the ones that I've played, and then I get an order from that. And it actually always surprises me how many games I've forgotten about. So I've got quite a nice-ish list. Not as good as previous years, though, because in some years I can easily get a top 10.
Things have been messed up with the pandemic. For sure, it's affected lots of every industry.
Yeah.
So it has definitely affected the gaming industry because we got less games last year. But I think, as we're going to find out, the games we did actually get were pretty damn good.
Yes.
For the majority that I purchased, anyway.
Yeah, same. I mean, the thing is, right, and I know, Nikki, you mentioned this before we started recording. You've got some honourable mentions. I've got a few honourable mentions myself, and they are purely, well, I'm not going to dive into it too much, but a couple of them are for games that I just didn't have time to finish, so I couldn't give them a fair shout, if you know what I mean. So that's why they're there, because there has been quite a few really long games released in the previous year, and I found myself, I think you guys might be the same as me, just finding yourselves just playing older games from a few years beforehand that you never got to really sink your teeth into, and there's only so many hours
I did have a chance this year to do that, definitely.
Yeah, so and I do think the older we get, the harder it is for us to play all the latest and greatest games as well. I mean,
you can't play everything. Full stop. You can't.
No.
You can have an entire year off, do absolutely nothing but play games. You won't play everything you want to play.
No,
you can't.
100%. Yeah.
I remember in my late teens, early 20s, when I had PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, and GBA, and then you just play everything. But as you get older and you have to work and stuff like that, you just don't get the time.
It's not necessarily just that as well. Back in the day, games were only designed to really be played for a few hours at a time.
Yeah.
You didn't have these super long epics. So even the greatest memories that people have of the era of different genres of gaming, like your Street Fighter 2s and stuff, you go through them in 20 minutes. You can play.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself. It's just quick on and off. Nowadays, everything wants so much of your time, whether it pulls you in via logins or events or just the length of the game itself. I mean, one of the news things that was released, I saw over the weekend, was the Dying Light 2 tweets that they put out saying that it's going to take around 500 hours to complete the game 100%.
That's ridiculous.
And loads of people were having a bit of a moan because not everyone's got that amount of time to put into a game.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, you can go through the main story in about 80 to 100 hours, give or take. And that's still a lot.
See, this is the thing, man. This is why I still think the Xbox 360 generation was one of the greatest generations for single-player games. You look at the games that came out on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 back then, and they were on average about 8-hour experiences, and I think that's perfect. I know some people moan
10 to so many hours experience, there's a game like that in my top 5, people. But pretty much done in exactly that way.
Yeah, and you know, and I actually think that's kind of the perfect kind of time span to play a video game. You know, I mean, some games are like epic RPGs are good for 50 hours or whatever, but they were back in the day the exception. Whereas now, as you were saying, Darren, like so many games are epic 50, 60 hour plus adventures. It's like,
Well, you
I don't
get a
have
lot
time
of
for all of these.
clapback. Yeah, you get a lot of clapback if games aren't that long.
Oh
Like The
no, it's
Order, that got
ridiculous.
slated when that came out. The Order 1886 got
Yeah,
slated because it was like a short game and you could do it in like under 10 hours. And I'm like, bonus.
yeah.
Like, I've got other games to play. I don't necessarily want to be stuck playing the same game for ages. If it's great, I will. But personally, I've got other games that I want to play at the same time. I
Yeah.
don't want something that, if something's going to really suck me in, it's going to be something I really want to look forward to.
Yeah.
I think
100%.
games like Skyrim, back then, and especially when social media was starting to hit its stride and all the developers and publishers were listening to people like that and saying, like, the more, the longer the game is, the better, because there's better value for money and stuff like that. I remember a lot of the old magazines and that, they used to actually mark it down if it wasn't like a long game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's silly. You can't. I mean, my motto for a lot of things in life is quality over quantity.
I mean, my idea of a sort of like a good long game would be sort of like a main story you could go through in about 30 hours, I'd say, and like up into the hundreds to do all the side stuff and other bits and bobs. Like that to me is fair enough.
Yeah, because it's
10
optional.
hours will
Like
do
for a
me.
sort of open game.
If that's replayable, that's the difference. If that's a 5 to 10 hour game, but that's so good that you want to replay it a few more times, then that's good, because then you're out actually getting more. But some of these games are just stretched out with boring fetch quests just to drag the game out. And
It's just kind of like, I like to call them single player MMOs.
The other thing that kind of I don't mind about those fetch quests is with a lot of games that are like that and do have fetch quests, you're literally moving from major event to major event to major event, and I think you lose impact if your game is all just complete balls to the wall the whole time, unless that's entirely what you're going for, like with say like a Vanquish or a Bayonetta style of game where it is just all action. But if you've got an open game, you kind of want stuff to break it down and have the story slowly build up, you to form relationships with the characters and get to know them, rather than it just keep going gung-ho the whole way.
Yeah. Anyway, should we get into it? Yeah? Wicked, guys. Yeah. Right, who wants to go first with their top 5 games of 2021?
That'd be Nikki.
Go, Nikki. Yeah. Give us your lowdown.
Right, I want to clarify. Can I cheat a little bit?
How do you define cheating?
Control Ultimate Edition for PS5 and Series X that came out in February.
I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll allow that.
I personally wouldn't allow that, but
it's a rejigged version, like brought out for the new system, I guess.
Yeah, but is that just a patch? Because if not, I'll just chuck it in the honourable mentions.
I mean, I would.
That's a bit.
I mean, because the problem is, right, if we're allowing that, there's so many games that get re-released on other systems. It's like, what do you allow and what don't you allow? You know what I mean?
The original came out in 2019 as well.
Well, yeah, but technically you can look at it as it's the first time it came out on that system. It's a different system, and it's the year it came out. So technically, is it a game that people? I fully believe, like, sort of things like when God of War's on PC later this year, PC players could easily have God of War in their game of the year.
Well,
if you're looking at it in that.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult. I suppose we're going to have to allow it then if you're going to explain it like that. That means I can add Alan Wake Remaster as my number 1 now.
Oh, well, that one's allowed in anyway, because that's a whole new game. Sort of.
No, it's not.
It's HD. Maybe it's HD.
This is where we get into grey areas now, isn't it?
Did you not see Alan Wake's face? It's a completely different face. It's basically a new game.
Yeah, he looks odd now, doesn't he? Yeah.
He always looked odd. He always looked a bit stone-faced, but
He looks like a serial
Anyway.
killer to me.
he is a serial killer.
Anyway, so you're going for Control at number 5.
Yeah, I'm banging out Forza Horizon 5 because I'm sure someone else might be talking about that anyway. But yeah, I mean, I played that the last 2 weeks as well.
What,
and I've
Control?
Really, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Are you
It's,
doing this on your stream, are you?
Yep, I finished that on the stream. I may have raged a little bit because it's got flaws in the game,
Yeah.
and they have took a lot of elements from like Dark Souls, where you've got control points which are kind of like the bonfires, and if you die, you go back to these control points. And from what I've seen, basically, like if you don't do the side missions, you're really underpowered. But if you do too many of the side missions, then you're overpowered. So it's kind of because there's no difficulty. You can't pick like easy, normal, or hard or anything like that. It's just one level, which is pretty good. I mean, like I said, it sort of looks like between Alan Wake, a bit of Destiny, bit of Quantum Break, and it actually plays really well with like basically like Star Wars Force powers and stuff, like picking stuff up and throwing at them. The guns are pretty good as well, and I've been playing through that, let's say, the last 2 weeks, and the only there's a few things that are a bit iffy, which is on because you played this at your Webby.
Yeah, I played this on PC with the ray tracing.
Yeah. Did you manage to finish it or?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
mate. I thought it was a really
So
good
you'll
game.
know basically about the map, how it's just terrible.
Yeah, it's terror bad. Yeah.
Yep. Because it's basically the whole map, because you're on different levels of this building, because you're all basically on one building. They've just put all the layers of the map on top of each other.
Yeah.
So even if you look on the map, got like your little yellow dot where you need to go, you don't know what level that part is. And also, like normal games where you like press a button, or normally it's just there, you follow the little yellow dot that tells you where you've got to go, and that's not in this game.
Yeah.
So you're looking at doors and stuff like that for like, I think I'm going this way, and then you're looking. It tells you in the corner, this is the area you want to go to, which is like the floor or whatever it's called, and then another area. So you're just walking around looking at like signs and doors and stuff like that to try and work out where you're supposed to go.
I mean, I don't recall having a massive issue with the map. I remember thinking, oh, it's not very good, but it makes you, as you say, look at the signs, etc. So I didn't really have a massive issue with it, but it is surprise. I mean, it's something you don't really think about in games a lot of the time. Another example that I have off the top of my head for a map that's ruined a game completely for me is Xenoblade 2. I don't know if any of you guys have played it.
About that, weren't you?
Yeah, I played it.
The worst map I've ever used in a video game. Completely the worst. And I stopped playing it because of that. Peebs is in the chat at the moment. Hello, Peebs. And he's saying, this game didn't come out in 2021. You're cheating. So I think you just missed the part.
Come on and tell me then, Peebs.
So what we've decided is, because 2021 wasn't that great a year, to be fair, this game actually, which system did this launch on in 2021?
PS5 and Series
PS5.
X.
Yeah, so Nicky's cheating a little bit, Peebs, to be honest, because it released.
It is a different edition of the game, though, isn't it, as well?
Well, they have made a few improvements. They've added, because like I said, there's no real checkpoints in the game other than these control points, and they have actually added quite a few extra ones, which is good, because like before a boss, there's some side quests and side boss battles where you have to like run for 3 or 4 minutes through a maze area to get to the boss, where they've put extra points so you literally just fly across and you're straight there, which is good. And I think they've added quite a few bits to it. I mean, main character, she still looks like, I don't know, like her jaw's too big or something, and it keeps falling off when she's talking. It's just weird. Yeah, there's a few graphical glitches, but I mean, I just really enjoyed it because I mean, look, other than the few little bits, the gunplay's really fun, and as the load times, which you'd expect for Series X, I'm supposed PS5, is actually, they're pretty good. Whereas before, I think you'd get annoyed just waiting for the load times all the time.
See,
And and another thing, well, I keep complaining about the game, even though I'm saying I enjoyed it. Even weird is that's why this is probably a good 7, maybe 8 out of 10, but that could have been brilliant other than a few bits like the side missions or just the missions. It doesn't tell you what the side missions are, or in my case, what the DLC missions were.
right.
As I said, I got about an hour or so before the end of the game. And like I said, I was really underpowered. So I thought, oh, I'll do some of these side missions. And I didn't realise, and I almost finished it. I got about 3/4 of the way through the Alan Wake DLC.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't. So I'm going to finish that now. So I didn't even know. I'm like, oh, Alan Wake's turned up. That's good. And then, so for somehow you can play second part of the DLC before the end of the game. It just turns up in your missions, but you can't play the first part of the DLC until you finish the game.
Bizarre.
It was a bit weird because normally some games are like that. They will actually tell you, like in the menus, main missions or side quests. Whereas this didn't tell you. It was just a list. So I'm like, because like I said, I had to do some side missions to level up a bit because some of my powers were really under leveled.
Yeah.
I was getting like one. He's Norfolk. I am Norfolk.
The thing is, right, I think we need to start tallying up how many times how many years we have the same game in our top game in the year, because it does this, like, for the last few years that we've been doing this, we have had the same games turn up.
Technically, going by what I said, we could have Skyrim in there again.
We could, re-released again, yeah. Oh man, crazy. Anyway, Nikki, give us your number 4 then.
Number 4, which I finished this week as well, this week, was Halo Infinite.
Ooh.
I'm sure it might turn up on one of your twos.
Is this for the single player campaign or for the multiplayer, or for both?
Just the campaign. I don't like the multiplayer of Halo, really. I'm more into COD. That's a bit too around trying to bloody get shields down, and then by the time you get their shields down, you're dead straight away. So it's just pretty much the campaign. I mean, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of, I said before on there, there's a lot of like the campaign, a lot of like Halo 1 and 2 like inspired bits to it, like the same sort of level design. Obviously it's a bit more open world, but then you go into certain areas which are similar to Halo 1, like the library and stuff like that. And not just that, the game, I think that's probably one of the best looking games so far this gen. And how it just plays so well. I mean, if I had to like rank them in order, this is probably
on the graphics, but yeah, okay.
Oh, just because your PC can't run it, don't blame
mate.
Microsoft.
I played it on the Series X and the PC, and I still play the multiplayer as often on the PC. But I think graphically it looks nice, but I've seen far superior games on the PS5 of all places. Looking at the Demon Souls remaster as a prime example, and Returnal. Ratchet and Clank, just to think of a few. Not to say that Halo Infinite looks bad by any means at all, but I really enjoyed the campaign of Halo Infinite, Nikki. I thought it was good fun, to be honest, but it did have some negatives for me. One, the big thing for me was I had to delete it off my PC and then carry on playing it on my Xbox just to get a decent experience. And the other thing, when I finish the game, when I think back to the campaign, I think to myself, it could have completely done without the open world section at all, to be honest with you, because all the main story elements happen at the beginning and at the end, which are, just that, the classic Halo experience of being filtered through the tunnels into the areas. The whole open world section of the game just felt like fetch quest after fetch quest, side quests. I mean, admittedly, I did do them all, and I did enjoy it. But I don't know, man. I think it's a great game, but the open world portion could have been done a little bit better, in my opinion.
That does seem, the open world stuff does seem a bit bolted on.
Yeah.
It seems like this
what
is
it
the
feels
inside section with the story and the stuff like that, and this is the outside section. And us, like, I don't want to spoil too much because obviously people are still playing it, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of the same elements from the last game. You know, you've got new version of Cortana's there, and then other people turn up. You think, weren't you in the last game? I'm pretty sure I killed you, but you turned up again, and like some of the boss fights as well. And then just as I thought, oh, this is getting really good now. I was like, oh, it's the end. I'm like, oh, all right then. And then he done his oh, it's time to finish the fight. I was like, haven't you been saying that since Halo 2, Master Chief? You know, you've been finishing this fight for a long time, mate.
It's never going to end, mate.
Oh, it's this onward fight, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I would play that again. I'm thinking about that's the thing. I'm thinking about going back and playing the older Halo games now.
I mean, the Master Chief Collection. Yeah, I mean, the Master Chief Collection is still pretty decent, to be honest, and they have fixed a lot of the multiplayer issues now. I would actually be keen, Nikki, to see if the co-op is actually in a playable state now. So if you wanted to try some co-op campaign, I'd be up for that.
I will give it a go because that's how I don't do much multiplayer. So I know that was balked when it came out because they tried to get all the maps and from like what 4, 5 Halo games all into one.
Yeah.
So I think they've added was it Reach and ODST to this one now as well, which they weren't with the original Master Chief Collection, were they? It was just 1 to 4.
Yeah, and just going back to Halo Infinite on the multiplayer side of things, I think it started off very, very strong, but I think it's tapered off a hell of a lot now. And I think the main issue there is one, it's missing loads of game modes that were in the classic Halo games for the multiplayer, and you know, it's been out for a couple of months now, and they haven't added any new maps, and I think people are getting a little bit bored of that. So it does feel like it needs some work now to add some maps and some more game modes to keep people coming back, because the problem is it's not like the old days. There's so much competition out there in the multiplayer shooter space, so many games vying for your attention. It's so easy to fall off these games. And I have noticed, especially on my friends list, like hardly anyone is really playing it now, and it's just such a shame.
Yeah, it does seem like with a lot of these games now, right? Because they want people to keep coming back.
Yeah.
But rather than put out like a full game of modes and then add stuff to it as time goes on, it seems a lot of companies, especially in the shooters, they're putting out like a bare bones game, and over the year adding back, you know, modes that would have been in there at the start, like 2 or 3 games ago, and it is what it is, and that's what they decided to do. So, you know, so add some more modes. You might have another go, because didn't you say you wanted to play that co-op with your missus at one stage when they had that in?
We'll see what happens, mate, because there's still some Chivos I want to get on it and some collectibles and stuff, but we'll see. If time is available. Time is always the essence.
That's Halo. So on number 3, which I haven't finished yet, but I'm like 2 chapters from the end, but I'm still putting this in there because I've had such a laugh playing this the last few weeks. It's It Takes Two.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah,
I've been playing this because you have to play it co-op with my mate Cybernator, who Twitch streams as well. And we're just been playing through this, and we haven't cheated once, which is pretty good. You know, Google, and it's just such a laugh, this game, and just like trying to work out the stuff what you're doing. And to be fair, you know, he's a bit thick, so just some of the stuff. I mean, we just I think so. We're about 2 chapters from the end, and we done a thing like that was like the math section where you're on like some school tables, and it tells you what maths you want to do. He's like, oh, hang on, Nick, I'll just go to the toilet. So he just buggered off and left me too. I'm trying to work. So he was stuck on number 5. I'm trying to work it out to do, but obviously he can't move. So I'm trying to work everything out, like what's the number of like +5 or -5 or whatever, and then that throws like the desk flips open and throws you to the next table.
Right.
That's all the cards you've got to memorize and flip over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can't remember these, so we were doing that. But that's just like I said, don't get fun games like this anymore.
Yeah.
They're just fun, and like if you die or something, which you're going to do in these sort of games, just come straight back in really quickly.
Yeah.
You just load back in so quickly, and it's just like with series. I'm sure it's the same on PS5 as well. With the colours and the HDR and stuff like that, it's just such a good looking game.
Yeah.
It's the art styles that games choose. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing, you know, a lot of games are going for realism these days, but I think some of the best games that come out are ones that go for these kind of cool art styles like this. I mean, I bought this game the day it came out on the Xbox and played it couch co-op with my missus, and we both absolutely loved playing this game. The split screen is done really, really well. The puzzles are fantastic. The story is really well done, absolutely brilliant. And I can't think of one negative about this game. It's just pure fun, and you are right. It's just nice to see a game like that these days, because you know one of the things that I was complaining about last gen was the lack of co-op games. You know, but this team have done a few other games, haven't they? In the past, there was that one with the two prisoners, wasn't there?
No Way Out.
Yeah, No Way Out. It's the same team did that, and that game was absolutely fantastic as well.
Yeah, I played that one a few years ago.
Yeah,
that was pretty good as well.
Yeah, and you know, and they do a really cool thing with this game and A Way Out. It is you know, only one person needs to own it. So if you're playing it online co-op and your mate doesn't want to buy it, doesn't have the money or whatever, they can just download like the trial version and they can play through the whole game with you, which is really cool as well. So
plus they added it onto Game Pass really quick as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I was quite shocked about that. I mean, the game wasn't expensive when it came out anyway. I think I paid 20 quid for it, which you know, which is fine. You know, the game is a decent length. But as I say, like everything about it just oozes pure class. Like the storytelling, the way the characters are done, the voice acting, just the gameplay itself, the puzzles. You know, like it doesn't stick with one gameplay method for long, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to dive into spoilers, but there'll be like a level where you use a certain items like you might be seeing on the screen on Twitch, but then you'll move on to the next level and you won't be using them anymore. It'll be something completely different, which changes up the gameplay loop. So it keeps it fresh, which is really nice. And the boss battles are really, really well done as well. I know Nikki mentioned last week about the boss with the vacuum cleaner, which was absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot of other boss battles throughout the game which are in a similar vein as well, which I'm not going to give spoilers on. So if you've got Game Pass especially and a friend or partner, family member, whoever to play this with, then do check this game out. It is definitely a highlight for me from last year as well. Absolutely fantastic game, which will not get enough praise from me at all because it's just so good.
I mean, definitely. I suppose the only thing that you would say, almost as a negative, is that you have to play two-player. There is no single player. So if you're a bit of a Billy No mate, so you've got no one in to play with, no one likes you, yeah, like basically, you have to try and play with the cat.
Yeah.
Or play with your feet at the same time. I bet you someone out there's done it. Yeah.
Someone's tried it to get achievements, haven't they?
I've done it on YouTube just for bragging rights.
To be fair, it isn't hard to find people to play games with these days. I mean, I've been playing a game called Ready or Not on the PC in the last few weeks, and I mentioned it last week. And really not really anyone in the 360G community has been playing at the same time as me. So all I did was join the official Discord room for the game, and I've had no problem finding people to play it with. So you know, it's all about just putting yourself out there sometimes, you know.
I think I'm not sure exactly. I think you can just play with randoms as well. I think I know you could like select like private or whatever when I was playing with
Oh,
my
okay, it's
mate.
got matchmaking. Oh, that's good.
I
If it
think there
does,
could be a matchmaking where you could play
yeah.
with someone, anyone, which would be nice unless you get
Opens it up to randos.
Yeah, which is good and bad depending on who's there.
What was
Yeah,
that game on the PlayStation that had random people join in, but you just basically used to just work together and work your way through it? Journey, was it?
Oh yeah, Journey. That was so good. Yeah.
But you didn't know who they were. You couldn't communicate or have.
No, it just comes up with their gamer tags in the credits at the end.
Yeah, so you just like
yeah,
beeped and blooped at them and stuff like that.
pretty well done. Anyway, Nicky, let's move on to your next game, mate.
Yep, number 2. So this was a bit tight. I mean, this one could be a little bit cheaty as well.
God, you and your cheating.
Well, that's sort of cheating, but this one's less cheating than the last one's cheating. It's
Yep.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Trunks the Warrior of Hope story DLC.
DLC? Oh, when did this game come out?
Is it the size of a full game, the DLC?
Well, it's a good 10 hours. So basically, this was, to be fair, it was supposed to come out in 2020, but because of COVID and stuff like that, they delayed it quite a long time, so it didn't come out until the summer. Just gone.
Yeah, you know what? I have a funny feeling someone might have even had like one of the Buried at Sea DLCs in their Game of the Year one year.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Oh, Bioshock.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of cheating going on in our community, isn't there?
It's
Game of the
still
Year.
kind of a game. It's the length of a game. You can look at it in
came
different
out
ways.
this year on the DLC, plus this game came out this year on the Switch as well.
Oh, you're doing a double cheating. Okay,
Anyhow.
well, can we move on to the next game then?
Well, no, let him chat about it.
I mean, this is really. I went on last year's Game of the Year, and this game would have been my Game of the Year for last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, because basically this is just like the TV shows, like the whole Dragon Ball Z saga, which is a lot, done in video game form. But with,
do you watch the anime then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did, obviously, when I was a lot younger.
It goes back years.
Yeah, this is like late 80s, mid 90s in the UK when that was on.
Right.
Obviously, also nostalgia. And I used to play the Game Boy Advance games, which there was 3 of those, which was like, because there's 3 sort of main sagas, like middle stories in the whole Dragon Ball Z thing. And but yeah, this pretty much covers the whole one. But this part, there's some Trunks DLC or expansion or whatever it's called. This was like brushed over briefly in the TV. So this was just like he just said, "Oh, this is what."
Oh, is it the story of the alternate reality that he comes from, like in the future?
Basically, right in the middle of
with the androids.
Basically, the 2 androids basically killed off everyone apart from a couple of people. Then he got a time machine and come back to put it right. Basically, this is everything that happened in the alternate timeline. Whereas in the TV show, he just turned up, said what happened, buggered off, came back a bit later, then buggered off again. Never really saw what happened. But then there's a few bits like one of the main characters, Gohan, he lost an arm in one of the fights, so you get to play with like Gohan without an arm and stuff like that. And that's actually really good DLC. Like I say, it's a good 8 to 10 hours, and I think I streamed that over 2 days, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Plus, I think because I was waiting almost 18 months for the DLC, I think there was a lot of anticipation. This game or DLC expansion, whatever. That was like one of only 2 games where the day it came out, I got home from work or I booked a day off and I was just on it day one. Whereas, you see what I mean? Whereas a lot of other games, I'm like, oh, I'll get it when it's cheaper, or oh, I'm not that fussed really, or like with Halo and Forza and things like that, they're on the Game Pass.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, my number 1 game, I actually bought day one and just like played it straight away. Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like I said, if anyone, I mean, you can get this game really cheap now. If there are any Dragon Ball Z fans about like haven't played this game, you really should. I mean, with the DLC, which is, I mean, you can get it really cheap now for like 20, 25 quid for everything. You easily 80, 100 hours worth of gameplay in it.
It's not my cup of tea, mate. So I'm really sorry. I'm just kind of glazing over listening to you, and I know that's what you're like with me when I talk about Final Fantasy. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's why there's so many different styles of games and things like that. That's either your cup of tea or it's not in it. That's that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Okay, game number one, best game of the year.
It's better be a good game, Nicky.
I think I know what it's going to be.
I'm excited. It better not be anime.
Oh no, it's not anime. It's a real Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
Because obviously I've played like all of them, and I mean I've been a bit on and off with Resident Evil since 4, because some of them have gone to action, some of them have gone to whatever. But with this one, like 7, I was completely against it. Didn't want anything to do with it because they changed, to first person, and I just thought they were just ripping off PT and a lot of the jump scary games. But then I got it a few months later, like cheap off eBay.
Yeah.
And I played through it. I just really enjoyed it, because even though they changed from third person to first person, I actually felt more like Resident Evil back on the PS1 than like basically Resident Evil has for like 10 years.
Yeah, because they went to the third person sort of, the action route.
Well, yeah, as I say, Resident Evil went after Resident Evil Nemesis. I would say they just went a bit too actiony for my liking. But as I say, Resident Evil 7 I loved, even though I shit my pants. And Resident Evil 8 was a really good, pleasant surprise for me for a couple of reasons. One, I bought it on the Xbox, rinsed it in like 3 days, and then sold it for the same price I bought it for, which was fantastic. But it was just, I think it was like, and I think you probably are thinking the same, right? It's just the setting was just such a departure from what we're used to in the Resident Evil games, in my opinion. And it was done so well. It was kind of like this own little like hub world, and you could go and visit the different areas. And just all the characters were just done so well. I mean, just from memory, everyone knows about the tall Lady Mystery, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only one kind of sliver of the game, and there's these other areas, and it's just it's hard to explain without spoiling it. So I'm going to try the best I can. It kind of feels like multiple types of games in one, depending on which area you are in, if that makes sense, because there is the one with the section with Lady Dimmermist, I'm doing a stunt here, I can't say her name.
So
it's
Lady
like
D.
Yeah, it feels like a very kind of, you're being chased around this kind of funky mansion type place, and there's another section which feels like full on fucking horror, which I'm not going to say any more about. You guys probably know what I'm on about, and it's fucking freaky.
The thingy house.
Yeah.
The thingy house, or whatever it is.
With the doll.
Yeah.
I don't want to say any more for people who haven't played it.
It gets even worse than that, and it's like,
yeah.
It just felt, Resident Evil back to form.
Yeah.
Especially since Resi 3 remake, which just seemed like a really rushed job.
It was so short
before.
Yeah.
It was like really, I mean, there wasn't a lot of content. The original Resident Evil 3, that was one of the shortest games going, and they didn't add any. If anything, they took away from that.
Yeah.
So this one, I was like, I like Resident Evil. I played them all, so I'm going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
That's just, I haven't been that excited for Resident Evil for a long time.
Yeah.
I just sat and played.
It was a game for once that when we saw the first trailer, I was like, I like the look of that. I like the
Yeah.
look of that a lot, and it delivered.
Yes.
As a game, I think it delivered on that as well. Because even when they had the big PlayStation 5 unveiling, that was one of the games that stood out to me from that
Yeah.
initial trailer reveals of all the different sort of PS5 titles. Because I've always liked those games, and it was so well made.
Yeah.
Like it really was. Like when you were going around exploring all the different areas, they took a lot of time and effort into the textures, and especially in the castle, like the marble floors, the wooden polished banisters, just the setting, the over campiness, this being in sort of enveloped into a sort of very comic book style horror world with a lot of sort of tropey horror stuff that you're like, I don't care because I like this premise sort of a
Yeah.
thing, with the puzzle solving as well and the action combat and such. I just found it a fantastic overall package.
100%
Like I
agree
said,
with you.
it took. I think you're right. It's like it took so much from all the good elements of all the Resident Evil games and somehow merged them all together.
Yeah.
And it
The
didn't
game
feel.
has replayability.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to play
You
it because
get
obviously I
like
got this on. I haven't played this on my Series X yet, so obviously I'm going to play that again
all
on that to get
nice.
however many more frames per second I'll get. And it worked really well when it came out. It's like not one, like you just plugged it in, downloaded whatever it done, and the game worked. There weren't any crashes. I never heard of anyone in any bugs or anything like you get in so many games out. It just worked, and it just seems like I think Capcom are probably at the moment probably the best developers or publishers out there at the moment making good games.
Yeah, I mean, and another the main thing that stands out for me with Resident Evil Village, which we haven't really talked about, is the atmosphere, the way it makes you feel when you're playing it. Just you feel very lonely at times, and it's just the soundscape, everything about it just feels like the game is a labor of love. It's just everything just comes together so well.
So you can feel the world. If that sounds a bit weird or like a weird song, but like similar to older Resident Evils, like when you're in the mansion, that seems like the mansion or the police station in Resident Evil 2. That's another character.
Yeah,
Get to,
the areas and like the setting is like a major part of the game. Like I've always said, that's what makes BioShock fantastic, is Rapture.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it and the way it all works, and there's just this constant sense of unease.
Yes. 100%. That's a good number one, Nicky, I have to say.
I think it is. Can I just do my honourable mentions? Just say what they are. I don't want to talk to them because, like I say, I haven't played them enough. Really, put them in the list. But obviously, got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I've only played that for about 3 or 4 hours. I've done like one gym battle, so I can't really say much about that. And Tormented Souls, which is another sort of like a Resident Evil type horror game. So I got this on PC.
Right.
And it just didn't. I played it for a couple of hours, but I tried to stream it, but I couldn't sit through because I've got I stream from my PC and I normally use consoles with a capture card. So to have both, it was just a bit of a pain in the ass to try and stream it. So then when I got my Series X, I thought, oh well, play it on there. But obviously I can't put my save from PC onto Xbox, I've got to start it again. So it's just like, oh, all right, I'll start it again eventually. I just haven't got round to it yet. And Monster Hunter Rise, same as I've only played it for 2 or 3 hours. Just like I haven't got enough into it. And another game which you've ruined me just lately, Webby. Got me a bit addicted to this. Lawn Mowing Simulator.
What's that?
Lawn Mowing Simulator.
Game is dog shit, man. What are you on about?
Mate, I must have spent, because I've been off ill for the last couple of weeks, I must have spent 20 hours on this game.
There's something wrong with you, mate. Get out there and mow some real lawns.
I can't. I live in a flat, so I haven't got a garden to mow.
Is this your garden fantasy then? Is this game made for people who don't have gardens?
Yes, I haven't got a garden. I live in a flat, so this is my garden. So
because mowing the lawn to me is the worst chore. I'd rather do the washing up than mow the lawn. That's how much I hate mowing the
It's
lawn.
just really good. I think there's a lot more like.
The smell of freshly cut grass is nice, though. Like
it's nice apart from when you get to like 0.5% left to finish, and you're just running around like a madman with the strimmer trying to get the last few little blades of grass, and then you keep smacking into the flowers, and like you broke a flower, you've got a fine. I was like, well, she didn't tell me not to crush the flowers.
Goodness me! Right,
Plus before you do that, you have to go around and pick up all the dog poo. You never told me that. You have to pick up the dog poo, the garden gnomes, because you can't break those, Webby.
Oh, this game sounds so shit. I mean, anyway, what? Any other honourable mentions?
That's it. That's me done.
That's it. All right. Okay, we'll go on to Darren then.
Hey, it's slightly random as per usual. My personal top 5 of 2021. At number 5, Demon Slayer: The Hinokami Chronicles.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which was,
right.
It's straight away throwing people for a loop. I've mentioned this before. It came out sort of like around sort of late August, early September-ish sort of a time, if I remember. Maybe even a little bit later than that. But it's based upon the anime. It follows the anime just like the Dragon Ball game does, in a nice, authentic way, recreating certain moments from the anime and done really well. For certain parts of it, uses like the proper music and everything for a lot of the cutscenes and whatnot. Yes, the combat's basic, but it looks gorgeous in my opinion. It does capture the art style brilliantly. It's done something that's a little bit shitty, in the fact that they've kind of given away free DLC, but all it is unlocking characters that you already fight against in the game.
Right.
So, like, their character models and everything are already in the game.
Okay.
So they're just sort of adding a load of them back in, like, oh, there's a free DLC character coming. Yeah, that boss you fight against in this part and whatnot. But there's a decent variety of enemies and stuff in it. And it was a fun game. It's like one you can just, like you say, pick up and play it for a few hours, put it back down. Go back to it every now and again.
Are decent games to play, you know, when you can just think, oh, well, I only have an hour or so, I'll just play this for a little bit and I'm going to have fun.
Yeah, and it lived up to its hype, in my opinion, to a way.
Well, I know you're into all that sort of stuff, so you and Nikki have very similar tastes.
I mean, I think it was CyberConnect 2, wasn't it, that have recently rumoured that they're working on another franchise that people are going to get really excited about when they hear it.
Am I going to get excited for it?
Well, CyberConnect 2 are the original people that sort of, I'm sure they had a hand in, was it Azura's Wrath?
Oh, I love that game.
Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't know.
I know they did the Naruto Storm games and other stuff. They are generally known for doing pretty damn good anime titles. My number 4 is Samurai Warriors 5.
What system is this on?
Everything.
Oh, okay. I've heard you talk about this in the last year as well, actually.
Yeah. So I'm a massive fan of the Musou games. They're just absolutely fun as hell to play through. All the Warriors titles, you've got Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Warriors of Roxy, and they also spin off and do like anime style ones like the One Piece Pirate Warriors as such as well.
Yeah.
They've done an Attack on Titan game as well, the developers, which is pretty damn good as well. But yeah, this is obviously another hack and slash, but it sort of goes back to the very, very early days of the Samurai Warriors franchise. Like, normally it starts from sort of like the end of like the Oda dynasty. It's all based on traditional like Japanese clans and stuff of the different eras, the Warring Edo era and such. And in this one, you basically fight through a storyline that's splintered, focusing on 2 characters. One, Nobunaga Oda, who was basically vilified as someone who wanted to take over the entirety of Japan and sort of like unify everything. but there's like different ways people intend his like vision, whether he was doing it like as a power move or whether he just literally wanted to unite and bring peace.
Yeah.
And to do that, he ends up befriending someone from another army, Mitsuhide, who eventually they become very close, and then Mitsuhide eventually betrays him and sort of supposedly kills him
It sounds like
somewhere.
it's got quite a good little story line behind it then.
Yeah, it's based in real history.
Yeah.
There's
That
obviously
is
a lot of
cool, yeah.
embellishments here and there, and obviously depending on the different. You start off the story as they as young, and then you end up at the end, and the characters sort of age through it,
Okay.
and you take control of different characters at different points through the story, depending on whether they're alive or dead or various things like that. Because obviously there's battles that go on in between things, reckless moves, old tales of war as it was. But I always find those games fun.
Yeah.
Only downside is you when you're playing, even though the game's quite fast and frantic at times, when you get new missions pop up, it stops the gameplay to just let you know there's a new mission come up.
Oh, that's a bit annoying, isn't it?
So that's the only thing I hold against those games. But it had it in Samurai Warriors 4, and I absolutely love those games, like 4 and 4 2 as well. But yeah, now this one's out, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Well, beans.
100%. Now we're on to the meat and potatoes, as they say, the top three.
Ooh, it's getting exciting now.
Yeah, and the sort of number 3 and number 2 games are both like you could switch them around if you want. It doesn't matter to me,
Right.
because they're both fantastic. So my number 3 is Resident Evil Village.
Oh, it's on another Game of the Year list. I am not surprised, I must say.
Like, even just talking about it makes me kind of want to go and play it again and experience some of those areas and such.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, because it feels like ages ago. When did it come out? In 2020?
March, I believe.
That is almost a year
an
back
early
now. That's crazy to think about, isn't it?
I mean, this you can tell how much it's caught them off guard because they didn't realise the game was going to be popular.
Yeah.
Or as popular as it actually was, and then they announced that they are going to be working on DLC for it, which is surprising because when they did Resident Evil 7, they had a load of DLC ready to go for that.
Yeah, I never played it with it either.
Soon afterwards. And this one, they announced it, God, about 6 or 7 months ago, maybe more. Never heard anything of it since. So it's obviously they literally just started working on it.
They were doing
back
that
then.
DLC, weren't they? The multiplayer.
Reverse. Yeah, what a celebration of 25 years of the franchise. Thank you very much. Like the best thing that actually happened to us was, well, they delayed it indefinitely until they can sort it out. I think that was our greatest gift this year for the anniversary, to be perfectly honest. But there were some people out there who played it and kind of enjoyed it, and if it's its own separate thing and its own separate game, then I don't know. I just didn't see the point of it being in Resident Evil. It's like Resident Evil to me isn't like all for all PvP.
Yeah.
Featuring random Resident Evil characters. Like the Mercenaries thing is cool because it's like a time attack, score beating sort of mini game per se. But yeah, so that's number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2, Tales of Arise.
Ooh, what a game! What a game! I'm surprised you haven't played this, Nicky, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I just don't get the time to play JRPGs.
You can kind of go through this reasonably easy. You're not... it doesn't take super long to get through it, and even the side quest stuff, it's only brief. It doesn't seem like it takes ages. It's more like tasks, like the optional stuff like fishing, maybe the fight coliseum or whatnot. But a majority of it, you could probably go through it in a month, I'd say. Whether that's too long or whatever, I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I can't actually remember how many hours it took me, but I did pretty much everything I could. And to me, that's the mark of a really good RPG. I mean, I love the Tales games.
Did you even go back and do the crossover stuff at the end or not?
No, because I actually I completed it, and before that DLC came out, I actually sold my copy.
Oh no, it's not a DLC. I never picked that one up. There was the other thing where basically when you beat the game, like extra dungeons pop up or extra little areas with more
I
quests.
tried to, but it was you had to do a bit of grind. I couldn't be fucked, so I just moved on to other games. But the main game I played, it was so good. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Tales games anyway. I've played quite a lot of them, and this is actually my favourite Tales game now, and that's saying something because there's been some really good ones. But before this, the art style I loved on this, Darren. I don't know about you. I just love the art styles in these games. But it's just the storyline was absolutely fantastic, and they do a really good well of fleshing out all the characters as well. You know, with the main story and the little skits that you can optionally do as you're going through the field, the conversations they have while you're in combat as well. And the combat itself is really, really good because it's not, you know, your traditional JRPG turn-based. You know, it's that kind of action combat where you get, you know, options to do certain moves with your character, you know, with your main character, and then you've got your co-op type moves with the other characters that can pop up as well. It all comes together really, really well, and I think for anyone who enjoys JRPGs, or maybe even wants to try a JRPG, this would be a really good game for you to try. To be honest,
it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Like it 100%. Does cut out a lot of the old sort of like stuff from JRPGs. It tries to sort of modernise it a little bit, and it does it well.
Yeah.
Like you say, the art style they used suited it completely. It all ran really well. I enjoyed pretty much the whole time I played of it. A couple of little niggles here and there, but every game has that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Such a good game.
And I won't ruin it. There's a nice surprise partway through as well, which was a complete and utter bonus.
This is the thing about this game. Like in a lot of JRPGs, you can kind of predict the story, but in this, a lot of it is very unpredictable, and there is a lot of nice surprises, which is really, really good. And you know, I just really liked. I try not to do spoilers, but it's actually, I'm not going to say anything more, no, because I would spoil it for people, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, it is absolutely fantastic in it. You know, it is in my top 5 as well. Just putting it out there because it's so fucking good.
You know, if you haven't played the other, is this like Final Fantasy?
No, this is a completely self-contained story with brand new characters.
That's what I meant. So it's like every different Final Fantasy is a different game, so you don't need to have played any of the older ones to appreciate it. Oh, that's good to know then.
That might be one for your stream in the future, Nikki, because it is freaking awesome.
I saw it on Hot UK deals for like 28 quid.
Bad.
I was like, oh, I could get that, and then probably.
I was just say you can get like Resi for like 20, 25 quid now, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that end up on Game Pass at one point, or has it not hit it yet?
No, I don't think it's hit it. No.
Okay.
Might happen soon. You never know.
What game's on Game Pass?
What?
What game to hit Game Pass, did you say?
No,
Resident Evil Village.
Oh, that's never going on Game Pass.
Never say never. I'm sure some of the other ones.
PlayStation paid them not to put it on there.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that in the news now, ages ago. Yes, right, yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to go on PS Now at some point.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. But yeah, and Tales of Arise.
These companies do.
Yeah, but just going back to Tales of Arise though, just to finish up, just talking about that. You know, I know quite a lot of people in the community aren't really into JRPGs, whatever, but this is such a good game, man. It's just polished to it's really polished, and it's just a really fantastic experience from start to finish. My 2 cents on it.
Can't really say much more. Already talked about it enough, I think.
Yeah, and I say it's just really hard without mentioning spoilers on these sort of story-based games. I can guess
Now,
your.
obviously, you know exactly what my number one is going to be. Like, I
Yeah.
think pretty much everyone out there can just be like, I'll probably put my house that he's got Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker as my number one pick of the year.
Well, some people would say it's cheating, but
It's a full game.
it's longer than a full game. In my
It's
opinion,
connected games that all tell one story.
So good.
Just
Yeah,
like Final Fantasy Remake or 7 Remake, which people have as their game of the years and stuff. So,
yeah. Apart from this is an actual new story. Well, that adds on to the story, you know, and I dread to think how many hours I put into it to finish it, Darren, to be honest. I mean, I looked because on Steam it tells you how many hours you've put into a game in the last 2 weeks, and obviously this came out. When did it come out? Early December.
Early December, yeah, first week of
Yeah.
December, I believe.
And when I looked at my Steam stats yesterday, it said in the last 2 weeks I had played this game for 91 hours. Yeah, so I dread to think how many hours I've put into it since the expansion launched in early December. It is going to be something absolutely redonkulous. This expansion is easily longer than a normal game on its own, 100%.
To me, it was like the end of a sort of 10-year story.
Yeah.
That's been told. A lot of those years I've put into the game.
Yeah.
It's something I generally play on a daily basis, every single day. I love the world. I love the characters, the visual design, the stories, the music.
Phenomenal.
And this expansion just ended the story in such a way I was fully happy with the way everything turned out.
Yeah, and that's quite rare these days.
And that's very hard.
Yeah.
When you've got that many characters, that much shit going on and everything, like I was still extremely happy with the way it all turned out at the end. I was half expecting to be like happy, but at the same time devastated.
Yeah. I mean, you think, right? The only thing I can kind of compare it to off the top of my head, Darren, is you think back to when Game of Thrones was on and how many years that went on for, and how many people were disappointed with the ending, you know, of that epic saga, because that went on for years and years, the Game of Thrones series. But this has been going on for 10 years. And that ended that saga, and it could have gone very badly. It really could have done. But I also feel that it ended really, really well. And the ending.
It's because the developers give a shit.
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling that's one of the main reasons. The developers generally care. They know if they fuck up, people are just going to walk away.
Well, that's 100%. And they're making a lot of money from it. You got the monthly fees and stuff. But
they stopped selling it. I don't even know if you can actually buy it.
No, you still can't, because
I logged out of it this afternoon and I tried to log back in and I was 1,900 and something in the queue again. I was like, holy shit! Like, oh well, not going back on today then.
It's still available to buy on the PlayStation, but I still think you can't create a new account still.
Well, that's a bit naughty if they're selling it, because I've heard from people that are not selling it at the moment.
It says buy now.
I mean, the thing is, right, there's people in our Discord community who started playing the game, back in the day on the PlayStation, and they've got an account, but they can't buy the game on their PC to carry on playing it with the same account because they're not selling it, right? So I would double check that, Nicky. To be honest, like it might say buy right now.
In on PlayStation, and it says add to cart.
Odd.
No, it might just be the Endwalker expansion, because I think they were still selling the expansion itself separately for those people that own the previous versions. Right, I think it's just flat out new copies for new customers.
Right. Fair dues. But yeah, I mean, we're just talking about the game though. Just was trying to say a minute ago, like this expansion, as I say, was really, really long, but it had the story content and the gameplay of a full-length RPG on its own. And when it ended, it had such a profound effect on me. Because I've been playing the game for 8 years. I know it's been out for 10 years, but that's including 1.0. Then they killed off the game and started it again. But it's actually a continuation from that original story arc from the original version of the game. But yeah, I've spent 8 years of my life playing this game on and off, put in thousands of over 2,000 hours. Darren's quadrupled that easy, but it still had a I've enjoyed the game immensely for a very prolonged period of time, kept up to date with the story, etc. And when it ended, it felt like an epic ending. Like it felt like the end of an era to me. Like that whole story arc has ended. And it did. Like days later, I'm find myself sitting in my man cave. I'm playing the game, still doing some other bits and pieces, but still just thinking about that ending, thinking about the music. I find myself listening to the soundtrack when I'm not playing the game. So I've just
we got a release date. I think
the official soundtrack.
Yeah, 23rd of February, I think, is the official release date for the soundtrack. I've got it pre-ordered.
Oh, nice. Okay, because I'm just listening to like some dude who does the piano musics for loads of games. He's done a really good Endwalker playlist. Yeah, so and what I was what I was trying to get to was there are not many games that really have that effect on me. There's plenty of games that I really love and I really enjoy the story content, like Tales of Horizon or whatever. But it's very rare you find a game where the story really impacts you, where you still thinking about it days later. I just thought it was phenomenal.
A game that had such a disastrous launch, it almost tanked the company.
Yeah,
and they almost pulled the plug completely.
Yeah, now they've got over 25 million subscribers,
this
which is
mad. Yeah, this is going to be quite a toughie to actually happen. I don't think in our lifetime we'll see another game that has such a failure of a launch and then relaunches and delivers content people enjoy for almost 10 years.
Oh no, it's mad. And they were saying that they're looking at
grow your player base over that time as well.
And they've come out and said, because I get the emails, which I'm sure you do, Darren, saying that they're looking forward to another 10 years. So they've still got plenty of content to come out.
When it finishes, there's threads and hints thrown in there of other places.
Yeah. Most definitely. So if 360G is still going in 10 years' time, we'll probably still be talking about this.
Fuckers. Right. Anyway, I think we should move on to your one. I think we spent long enough on that. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. No, I really.
Just say that says on Steam that's been suspended on Steam. Basically for it just says no a suspension of sales on limited products. So the free trial, starter edition, or online complete edition, you can't buy them.
Yeah.
You can't on PlayStation. Can't now purchase the free Final Fantasy 14. That's been suspended. Obviously, the DLC isn't, because if you've already got it, you can still you can buy it now, can't you?
Yeah. Okay. Right. Shall I get into mine then? Yeah, I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to be repeating quite a few games here. Number 5, Resident Evil 7. We've talked about it to death already.
RE7?
Resident Evil 8, sorry. Village. I don't know why I've written 7. I wrote 7 down. Resident Evil Village. Sorry. Edit. I'd have to edit that. Resident Evil Village at number 5. We've talked about it loads already, so I'm not going to rehash old stuff. It's just a nice surprise and just a fantastic video game. If you haven't played it, pick it up. You will love it. I guarantee it. Unless you're scared of scary games like Colin. Yeah. Okay. Number 4 is a game that I don't think people would have thought that I would have on there, to be honest. But it is It Takes Two. And my number 4, absolutely love this game. I know, as I mentioned earlier, but one of the reasons why it's my game of the year is it's one of the few games that, you know, in the modern era that you can sit down and play couch co-op with someone. So, you know, me and my missus, I mean, everyone knows that my missus is a gamer. We both sat on the sofa and just had a blast playing this together, and it just had so many comical moments between us just playing it. You know, the little arguments, you know, when we failed on some of the puzzles and stuff like that. It was just, the puzzles were done so well that I think, you know, I know, Nikki, you've been playing it online with your mate, but I think you get such a different experience playing a game couch co-op sitting next to someone. You know, and, you know, it's just that band.
Who were you playing as, Webby, the character? Were you
the dude, of course.
The dude.
Yeah.
I'm playing as the girl, so.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, it's just because of the comedy between the two characters in the game as well. But it's just, what I'm trying to get at is the puzzles are so well designed for you to work together, that it just works so well. It all just clicks, and then when someone cocks up, you know, it's quite funny. Like, oh, you cocked that up again or whatever, you know, and
fucking idiot. Like...
yeah, that's
what about the mini games, Webby, that you don't even have to do, but you can, like, you do some of those as well?
I did them all. I did every single one.
Yeah, like, because I don't know if you were the same. It's like, we've done one of the missions, it's like, or one of the mini games, like the Buckaroo, where it chucks you off the horse.
Yeah.
I press the buttons to like a QTE. I was like, oh, I've won that one. I was like, no, and then he's shouting, we've got to go 2 out of 3. We've got to go 2 out of 3. I'm not leaving it there, and things like that. It's like, nah, you're all right, mate.
Yeah, and you know, it has some really good comical moments in it, man, and it's just one of the. I love these co-op games because, as I say, they're just so well designed and they just work so well in that couch co-op environment, to be honest.
Did you struggle with any of it at all, or did you?
Not really. No. It's just a little bit of perseverance. There was some replaying of certain sections from time to time, but nothing that was overly frustrating or anything. You know. I do have a feeling that I haven't played it yet, that the new Dark Pictures game may have inched into at least my honourable mentions, but I've not had time to play it yet because me and my missus want to play that together. I've got that on the PlayStation, but we're just because she's been so busy playing bloody Sea of Thieves every single evening, and I've been on Final Fantasy every evening, we just haven't had a chance. So that's another one that we are going to hopefully be playing in the near future. But ones I have played, obviously, this It Takes Two is just absolutely phenomenal, and AJ's just put in the chat that he's playing it with his son. Absolutely fantastic, nice. Man. I bet you're having a blast on that, playing couch.
Well, that's the other thing. It's designed to bring people together and share an experience.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't actually get that all the time.
100%. Yeah, as I say, like there's a lack of good co-op games, and it's just nice to see them come back a little bit this last year.
Bring back Cain and Abel, or was it Cain and Lynch? Sorry,
Cain and Lynch. Oh, me and Peeps had a blast on that on the old 360, man. So good.
In this game win like the Game Awards game of like full-on game of the year?
Yes,
as well,
yes,
so.
Yeah. Well, at least they actually got a decent game in there for 1 year, anyway. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Okay, my number 3 game actually hasn't been mentioned at all. I'm quite surprised, actually. Far Cry 6 is at number 3 for me.
I did pick it up in the Christmas sales. So
oh, good. I absolutely loved Far Cry 6. And I was on the fence. I was not going to get this because there was a lot of detractors on this game going, oh, it's just the same Far Cry formula. Oh, you know, nothing new. And I was like, because of those reviews, I was like, do I really want to check it out?
That's kind of weird because it's like this Far Cry game's like a Far Cry game. How dare it?
Well, this is the thing, right? And then I thought about it a bit more logically after a while. And I was like, I really enjoy the Far Cry 4 formula. So it's like kind of one of those old adages of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I watched some more trailers and I like the actor I always forget his name, but the main actor in it.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic, that bloke. I think, he's such a good actor. And he does an amazing job throughout the whole game. Absolutely fantastic performance. And he is in it a hell of a lot with his son as well, which is really cool. But yes, it does have some of the old Far Cry formula, but I think it's done a lot better because there's none of the towers to climb to unlock the map or any of that jazz that
used to be the old school, yeah.
But it's literally you go to an area and the map unfolds as you just explore, which is great. And just thinking about the map as well, once you unlock bases, you can fast travel to the bases. You can call in airdrops, which makes it really fast to get to different missions as well. Loads of vehicles. It's got the crazy weapons. There's a guy in it who creates you these backpack weapon things, and they all do different things. Like there's one that fires missiles. There's one that's like an EMP that disables tanks, for example, and you can steal them or whatever. But what really kept me going about this throughout Far Cry 6, there's a few things. One was the story is really good. This is what really kept me going, because I think it's basically set on like kind of like Cuba. Yeah, without saying it, right? There's this dictator.
Well, that's like you can take inspiration from everything. I mean, even like a lot of the zones in Final Fantasy 14, they're based on different sort of cultures.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So with this, yeah, go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no. You're just basically going to nail it anyway. So
yeah. So with this, it's kind of set like that, but it's like you got the dictator, and you're with the rebels who you're trying to kind of overthrow this dictator, because he's taking people as slaves to farm this stuff, and it's killing people off, and so it's kind of like a prison island, really, if you think about it. You're part of the revolution, but what's so cool about it, right, is that you're in this kind of main group, but there's loads of other factions spread throughout the it's a massive island, right? It's massive, so different areas. Yeah, so but you need to like go and work with all these other factions, and then get all the factions to work together, as one big kind of army to overthrow the dictator. So it goes through that, and the characters you meet throughout all the different factions are so well done, and there's some comedy in there as well, a lot of seriousness or whatever. It's just so good. It's like you feel like this is real. Like this is something that could happen in real life. There is some craziness with like having like a crocodile as a pet, whatever, which you can send out to chop people's balls off or whatever. But apart from that, it feels very realistic at times, right? And the graphics are really, really good. And one thing I did mention when I was playing the game on previous podcasts was the audio was just phenomenal. You whack a set of headphones on, and it just, the sound design is just fantastic. I did mention, there's a part of the game where I just walked onto a beach and I just stood there watching the sunset, listening to the waves crashing on the beach, and I felt like I was there. It just looked and sounded so real, and it's just so well done. And it's one of those things, right? You look at Ubisoft games and you think, I'm not going to pick that up because it's going to be full of glitches or whatever, but they actually made an effort with Far Cry 6, and I didn't come across any issues with it at all.
I will say,
you've played it, have you? Right?
Generally look no, but I'm just saying Ubisoft games generally look decent.
Yes,
like they've always looked graphically great, regardless of which area it's set in, which type of game it is. Like Division, fantastic. The Assassin's Creed games look great.
Yeah,
like they have a nice pedigree of decent looking games.
Yeah, but it's just obviously they've got quite a stained history of game breaking glitches and bugs when games launch, right? But this game is really well done, man. I really have to say, give it a lot of praise for that. To be honest, and the world is huge. and it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I've not even touched on the gunplay. There's so many different choices of weapons and attachments for your weapons and gadgets in general. And when you're in a firefight or whatever, it's just so smooth, the shooting. It just feels just right, and it's just, I can't actually give this game any, I can't think of any negatives, which is why it's in my top 5, right? It's just a great experience and one that actually surprised me, to be honest. It's one of my pleasant surprises of 2021 because I wasn't hyped for it at all, right? It wasn't really on my radar.
It was put back as well a few times as well.
It was, yeah. And it's always nice, right, when you pick up a game with low expectations and it really surprises you, and that's what this game did for me. It was fantastic. That's all I can really say about it, All right, shall I move on then? The top 2 games are probably going to send some people to sleep. I do apologise. But these are the games I like, right? So, number 2, we've already mentioned it on Darren's section, Tales of Arise. I'm not going to bang on about it for long at all. I'm just going to say, it's one of the best JRPGs I've played in a very long time. I had a smile on my face from start to finish. Absolutely fantastic game. Pick it up. It is just phenomenal. And so I've played a lot of Tales games. This is, it's high praise to give this such a high score, in my opinion.
I think is it the best-selling Tales game?
It is the best-selling Tales game of all time as well. It was just so good. I mean, and it is high praise for me because Tales of Vesperia on the 360 was my favourite Tales game until this came out.
Which is a fair time back now as well when you think of it.
It is indeed. I'm not going to mention any more on it because we've already talked about it in Darren's section. But that was my number 2 game of 2021. So going on to my number 1 game of 2021. Some of you guys are going to be rolling your eyes at me. Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker expansion. And I'll tell you what, right? Before December hit, right, and this come out, Tales of Arise was going to be my number 1 because I've been thinking about my top 5 for a while. And my top 5 is missing some big games, like Forza Horizon and Halo, which I will explain why they're not in there very shortly. But before December hit, I was thinking, is the expansion going to even be in my top 5 at all? Is it cheating? I don't. I do think about my list quite heavily.
Could they don't fuck it up?
Well, yeah, but since this expansion launched in December, I've hardly played anything else. I have to force myself to play other games just to talk about on the podcast, to be perfectly honest with you. I think if I wasn't doing the podcast, I would literally only have been playing this, and that's it. And that just goes to show, I mean, the amount of hours I've poured into this in the space of a month, it's just scary. It's like literally every waking day, every waking moment of the day, I've been either playing Final Fantasy 14 or thinking about Final Fantasy 14. And the things that we didn't mention when Darren was talking about it was what I'm really liking about this expansion at the minute is that it's brought the community back online, especially the Free Company, and it's become very busy. I even dabbled a few nights ago. Excuse me, dabbled a few nights ago with the Free Company and doing the Savage raids, which is like the hard mode of the raids, and we got absolutely destroyed for about 2 hours or more. But we had fun because it's like, it's one of those experiences that people talk about in WoW, but I haven't really done in Final Fantasy 14. So we all got onto the Discord, we all got in voice chat, talking about strategies and stuff like that.
That's the best way to do it. You can't, in type chat, just sort of like quickly say, over here on the right is what I'm stood. Yeah. Like, you don't have time to do that, and those seconds are vital.
Yeah, so it's all about that teamwork, right? You know, there's 8 or more of us in there. We're all like doing the strategy and talking the whole time while we're doing it, just getting to know the guys and girls a little bit better as well. So it's just an aspect of Final Fantasy 14 that I've not dabbled in before in the whole 8 years I've been playing it. So that's been quite cool. So that's just another thing I wanted to add on, just to say that that's just really cool. It's been really nice also to see other members of the 360G community become more interested in the game. Some people who have had old accounts have managed to resubscribe and start playing it again. One person in particular, Griffey, I know is listening live at the moment on Twitch. He resubbed and he has leveled a hell of a lot in the space of a week or two. He's just mentioned his bard is now level 47. And I think when he came back on, he was only under level 10 or something. So he's been ploughing.
That's fair, yeah.
He's been ploughing through. I mean, every time I've logged onto the Discord to have a look, he's been playing it. The only unfortunate thing is he's not on our server. And obviously the server transfers aren't.
They're disabled currently, aren't they?
Yeah, they're disabled. But yeah, he says that he's got over 48 hours play time in about a week, in under a week. So yeah, he's been hammering it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, and I know people who listen to the show are like, oh, for fuck's sake, stop talking about this game. But it is, you know, it's the world's most popular MMO now. It's got over 25 million subscribers. It's kicking WoW's ass, which in its heyday had only 12 million subscribers, right? So it's over doubled WoW's prime player base, right?
Plus the recent stuff at Blizzard hasn't helped.
Yeah, true.
Like, let's be real. Like, that had a big part to play in a lot of the migration.
Yeah,
where it was like I've literally seen people, like there was a guy I watched reactions of on YouTube, who pretty much quit WoW around about 8 or 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And has played through all of the whole thing from like the very beginning to the end of Endwalker.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, I always wrote this game off. I always thought it was some cheesy Final Fantasy sort of thing, and he literally went like, it's the best game I've ever played. And I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. And that's
and he was like, and I was so like, I never even thought about picking this up or trying it or whatever. It just depends. The games can click for some and not for others.
100%.
There are people that do get suckered into like one MMO.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing to move to another because you're 100%. Deviating your time, you're deviating everything you've ever earned on that character for all that time you've put in and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it is a big commitment to make.
It is a huge commitment, you know. It's not one to be taken lightly. I mean, Griffey's just put that he wrote it off on release. He said he got to level 10 and just stopped, and it's only because of we've been talking about it so much that he's decided to pick it up again, and now he's absolutely loving it. And it is one of those games, right? It is a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning, but then it does become a point where it really clicks, and then you just
and you can see it as well because you go like when you run like a leveling roulette.
Yeah.
And you'll go into like a low level dungeon that's like a 30 or a 20 odd, and then you just see your abilities, and you're like, oh my god, I've got like a 3-button combo and a dot.
Yeah, just like,
oh my god, I've got 2 hits and a dot. Or it's not that much fun.
Yeah.
Back then it was because you're constantly you're using a character that's leveling up and getting stuff, but when you're obviously late in the game and you're like, I want to do my main rotation, I want to add in some stuns and all these other bits and bobs, and they're not available.
Yeah.
The classes get a lot better as they go on.
Yeah.
And they kind of do move that goalpost a little bit with every expansion.
Yeah, 100%.
Because obviously they reassign a lot of the best skills to like the highest level.
Yes, 100% agree. Anyway, we've talked about this enough now, so I'm going to move into honourable mentions, and I've got a few, not a lot. I've only got 4. So I did mention Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. Now, the games are great. I haven't got a problem with either to an extent. You know, Forza Horizon 5, I think is a really fun game. I've actually put a hell of a lot of hours into it online last year. But where they fall down for me, and it's unfortunate, right? Being a PC gamer, the performance on the PC for both Halo and Forza was shocking. You know, and I've got like a £3,000 PC. They should be running well, and they don't. And for that reason mainly, they've been knocked off my top 5 list. Yes, they work perfectly fine on my Series X. Got no problem. But it's just, I feel that these games should be running well on every platform that they push it out on. And I don't think enough has been said in the mainstream gaming media about the PC versions of these games, unfortunately. And it's just a crying shame. So I have had a hell of a lot of fun on Forza Horizon 5 online. I've put in over 100 hours on it. I think it's fantastic. It's just that issue needs sorting out even now. And it's the same with Halo Infinite, right? I love the multiplayer. Runs perfect on the PC, absolutely fantastic. You load up the campaign and it runs like dog shit on the PC. You know, and as I mentioned earlier, I had to delete the campaign. I just fuck it. I want to enjoy the campaign.
No, isn't this one of the issues I heard of? Like, if there are certain games that they hate DirectX 12. You have to run them in like DirectX 11 or something, and it gets rid of a lot of the issues that I know some people have had with some PC games. That was apparently the issue that was mucking up the Final Fantasy VII remake on PC, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I can try both. You know, I've got a decent enough system to run either or perfectly well. But yeah, it's just those issues for me have just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth on those two games. To be honest, you know, I mean, I'm a really big proponent of Game Pass in general. I love it. You know, one of the reasons I have Game Pass Ultimate is so I can chop and change between console and PC. The cross saves, you know, work perfectly well. You know, I could be playing Forza on my Xbox downstairs, literally shut it down, walk upstairs, and load it up on my PC 2 minutes later, and I can just carry on. And that is a really good feature, right, for that use case. But just that performance, as I say, just put a sour taste in my mouth, man. And because of that, they can't go in my top 5. It's just can't be done. Unfortunately, no. It's a shame. But yeah, they're still great games, man. Just without those technical issues, they would probably have at least one of them would have made it into my top 5, to be honest. Okay, and yeah, so I don't know if that even come out. Yeah, I'm just going to mention it anyway. Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 5. I think it came out
last year. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was around March, April time as well, wasn't it?
It took me by surprise. It really did. I absolutely loved it. You know, I'm not really. Fuck off, AJ. Just said my PC sucks. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank really surprised me because, you know, I picked up my PS5. I think it's a great system. And I wasn't going to pick up Ratchet and Clank. I only played it because I game share Wes, and he picked it up on digital so I could download it. I thought I'll give it a go. You know, it'd be rude of me not to try it, you know. So I tried it and I got hooked on it, man. I thought it was fantastic. And again, also it's really nice to play games which I can actually play with in front of my kids as well, downstairs on TV in front of the kids, because obviously a lot of games are unsuitable when you've got little kids. So this is one of those games that I could get away with sitting downstairs and playing. And, you know, my boy was like, "Oh, Daddy, you're going to play that game again? It's really, really fun for me to watch." I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm going to play it some more." And it was just really fun experience. And it was just, you know, gameplay-wise, it's just so much fun. You've got so many different weapons, different moves that Ratchet and Clank can use. The story was really fun. It felt like one of those you're kind of playing through a Disney cartoon, because the graphics are absolutely insane on this. I can't put it into words. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube and it looks great, but you get it on a decent TV with the HDR and that, it looks stunning. It really does. And that's one thing about console exclusives, is they always push the systems, right? And Yeah, I was really surprised. I was pleasantly surprised with this game with Ratchet Clank. I thought it was fantastic. So that is on my honourable mentions.
I think Stunty played it this year as well, didn't he?
Yes, he
Maybe.
did. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, he's played it and he really enjoyed it as well. So yeah, good times. Good times. Okay, my last game that is in my on honorable mentions is Lost Judgment. Now it's only in my honorable mentions because I didn't finish it.
It's not in any of mine because it's still sealed at the moment.
Shame, and
The game I haven't got around to. I want to finish Yakuza 7 first before I
that's fair enough.
jump into that.
Yeah, and you know, I've played it for about 6 or 7 hours, which for these games isn't really a lot of time because these games are generally quite long experiences. But at first, it was kind of a little bit jarring, to be honest, Darren, because I'd gone from playing Yakuza 7, which had completely changed the battle system to that turn-based system, whereas this is that old school Yakuza fighting,
sort of
fight. The arcadey type fighting. But I really enjoyed the first Judgment game, and this game, you know, it kind of carries on. You're that detective bloke, and it's set in the same city as the Yakuza games. And it's just the story so far is really, really good, and so I'm really enjoying the gameplay loop. But it's really the story that keeps you going in these games. But because I think the problem with the back half of 2021 is we got, well, in my opinion, quite a lot of games to play, and I personally had quite a lot of distractions in that area towards the end of the year, so it just kind of got put to the back burner a little bit, and I just haven't picked it up, and I really need to. But it, you know, from what I've played so far, it is fantastic. But these sort of games, you really need to kind of be in that zone where you need to dedicate your time to it. Whereas if you've got other distractions going on, they just kind of fall off. So, yeah, that is my that is my list on honorable mentions and top 5. So I managed to get 9 games there. Anyway, I didn't even make enough for 10 games in 2021, which is quite shocking. Because like most years, I can easily get a top 10 and some more on honourable mentions. But this year, a top 5 and 4 on honourable mentions. That's it. So, you know, yeah. And Ratchet Clank is a PS5 exclusive for those of you that aren't aware. Cool. Anything else you guys want to mention? Any other honourable mentions or anything?
I did eventually had fun with Scarlet Nexus.
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
It was a reasonably decent game, I thought.
Yeah.
Came out this year.
I haven't played it. That's on Game Pass as well already.
Looks nice.
Yeah, I think I played that. I remember playing the demo of that and thinking it was quite decent.
Yeah, I found it much better to play through with the male character than the female.
Yeah.
Like the combat just clicked more.
Yeah. Yeah, there was there was quite a few games that did launch in 2021, but it just didn't feel like there was a lot of big bangers. So there was kind of these other like little niche type games like Scarlet Nexus, which probably maybe stood out a little bit more. But I don't know. It's been a weird year because it feels like there's been less big games coming out, but I've had less gaming time to play the ones that come out. It was really weird.
Yeah, everything was pushed back.
Yeah.
So sort of a lot of the stuff we might have got around the tail end of last year is kind of coming out within the first few months of next year.
Yeah, and it also felt like when I was talking to people throughout the year that they were spending a lot more time playing games from previous years as well, just trying to play a little bit of catch up. Yeah, it's been an odd one. I do also want to mention, though, before we do end the show, one little piece of news about Ubisoft that was mentioned in the Discord this week. So I'm actually a subscriber to Ubisoft Plus on the PC, and it looks like that it's going to be coming to the Xbox in the near future. And the first game that's coming out on there's a game coming out on Game Pass through Ubisoft as well as kind of the starter on this, which is Rainbow Six Extraction. You know what? And I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say much on this, but the reason it's coming out on Game Pass is because it's not very good, and that's all I'm going to say on it. But further onto that news, Ubisoft Plus. It used to be called Uplay Plus, but they changed the bloody name on it. Anyway, it's a subscription service, right? So I subscribe on PC. It's $12.99 a month, and it's access to every single Ubisoft game. It's access to the Ultimate Edition of every single Ubisoft game, which is actually quite cool because there's something that Game Pass doesn't give you, like with Forza Horizon, it doesn't give you the Ultimate Edition, right? So that's what I've been using to play, say, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla with all the DLCs. So that's coming to Xbox at some point in the near future, and I think that's actually quite a cool thing, right? Because if you're savvy about it, and this is how I usually subscribe, right? Because I'm not a constant subscriber. So like when Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, I subscribed and like banged it out in that 4 weeks, and then cancelled it. So playing through the whole game cost me £13. Which is which is a lot less than the £50 that I would have paid for the game. And then obviously when DLCs come out, wherever you think, yeah, I'll resubscribe and play that DLC, blah blah blah. So yeah, I just think that's that's just a cool thing for just for people. I know some people don't like paying subscriptions, and that's all fair enough. But I think having that option for people is quite a cool idea, to be honest. But I think it could get quite expensive. If you're paying for Game Pass Ultimate monthly, which is what, like £14 a month, and then you got Uplay Plus on top of that, so you're looking at £30 a month at least, just for those 2 subscription services. So for some people, it might be a little bit too much.
And your Netflix subscription and another subscription.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I just wanted to mention that in the news because I just thought
I was going to say, didn't some of the other hosts have some top 5 lists at all?
Well, this is what I was going to get to before we ended as well. We've got some of the hosts have got top 5s, and the community put in their top 5s as well, which I'm going to get to. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go onto old WhatsApp and our group and just go through the hosts. Well, I say hosts, people that haven't been on for ages. Okay.
So there was that little bit of you've got some already, have you?
Yeah, I found them on WhatsApp. Yeah. So I'm going to go through, and if I've missed any, just let me know. Okay, so Trip only has a top 4 because he's only played 4 games this year. So number 4, Forza 5, 3, Far Cry 6. Someone else says Far Cry. Woo! Number 2, Mario Party Superstars, and at number 1 is Halo Infinite.
Good.
Peebs, number 5, FIFA 22. And
hang on a second, I heard him slagging that off the other day on. Or was it? Is it 20? What's the newest one? I'm sure he said he picked it up and he was like having a right old bad time with it.
Yeah, FIFA, but I think he's only played 5 games that come out this year. So
right.
Yeah. So yeah, and at number 4, Back 4 Blood, and number 3,
it's
Halo.
Kind of like if Back 4 Blood was more balanced in a sense, and like we've talked about it before, I could see that making my top 5 easy.
Yeah, if it was, if they sorted out those issues, 100%, man, it was, it's a good game. I know it's got a lot of its issues, which if they were sorted, yeah, defo. Where was I? His number.
That is 4. You just said Back 4 Blood.
So number 3 is Halo. Number 2, Forza Horizon 5.
Nice.
And at number 1, Resident Evil Village.
Oh,
that's cool.
Another one on there. Has it been on everyone's list so far?
It wasn't on Trips.
Yes.
As I don't think he's played it. Dan, Cinema Dan, and number 5, Cruising Blast. Number 4.
At least we get a good choice of different games with Dan.
None of the games that on Dan's list have been mentioned at all. Number 4, Mario Golf Super Rush. Number 3, Metroid Dread.
Oh,
It was very popular with a lot of people. Number 2, Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, that would have probably definitely been on my list as well, but I haven't really played much of the Switch at all this year. I do own Rise. I picked it up in a sale.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I played it, I'd thoroughly enjoy it, but
Yeah.
I know it's there for when I want. So.
And at number 1 is Pac-Man 99.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Stunty, his number 5 is Forza Horizon 5. That's in a lot of people's lists. Number 4, Mario Party Superstars. Number 3, Back for Blood. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Guardians is a game that does appear to be on quite a few people's top 5s. Like I've just generally seen around the internet. It is a game that I've seen in quite a few, and it's a game we kind of ridiculed a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah,
back when it was shown off. It was like they're showing too much. It went on for ages. Get to another game, it doesn't look that great, but everyone who plays it seems to find it really enjoyable. And it is a game I am looking to pick up when I see it for a good price.
So yeah,
I kind of missed out on the Black Friday prices for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it on the PS5, thanks to Wes again, but I just haven't got around to playing it. I played it for like 20 minutes. And the graphics are fantastic and the music is great, but yeah. Okay, where was I? Got too many tabs open. Oh yeah, and his number 1, Paul's number 1 is Little Nightmares 2.
I can't remember if that was this year or not. Yeah.
Well, it must have been. Paul's never wrong,
that was
is
this
he?
year, Little Nightmares 2.
Oh, right. Shall I get into the community on Discord?
Didn't Elliot give a 5?
Didn't see it on there. Did he give it? I can't see it.
Unless he put it in one of the other group things.
Oh, he said he put it in the Discord. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. D-Twin. Number 5, Halo Infinite. Number 4, Outriders. How can you have Outriders above Halo? I mean, okay, that's your list, man. But yes,
depends how much time you put in and who you play with. It's a co-op game, isn't it? Outriders. So if you've got people to play it with, I know a few people who play it on PlayStation.
Yeah, cool. What was I? Number 3, Forza Horizon 5. Number 2, Resident Evil Village. And at number 1, a man after my own heart, Tales of Arise. Okay, Dazpaz, our very own Dazpaz. Number 5, FIFA 21. And number 4, FIFA 21. Well, do you mean FIFA 22? I mean that. Okay, number 4, Riders Republic. Number 3, The Ascent. These are 2 games that haven't been mentioned. I mean, Riders Republic's quite fun, actually, to be fair. And The Ascent is pretty decent, too. And number 2, Football Manager 21. And number 1, F1 21. This guy likes his sports games.
And his racing.
Yeah. Okay. H-Doob. Okay, number 5 from H-Doob is Escape from Tarkov. Good choice. And number 4...
Did that come out this year, though?
Well, I think
it's officially released.
I think it was officially released this year. So
because it's been on PC for a year or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And number 4, 12 Minutes. That was actually quite a good little indie game.
Talked about games being too long. That's 12 minutes.
Indeed. Number 3, Valheim. And I know why he mentions Valheim. When that came out in February last year, me and HD played shitloads of that co-op, and it was really fun, actually. I kind of...
it was a big game.
Yeah, but it was kind
of...
It
was one of those that sort of like everyone seems to be talking about or streaming.
Yeah. That was it, but then it felt like it tapered off quite quick, unfortunately. But yeah, it was fantastic. Where was I? Number 2 for HDoob was Resident Evil Village. And at number 1 is Football Manager 22. Quite a few people enjoying the footy stuff. Okay. Old Wesley. Wes's top 5. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy.
There it is again.
4, Ratchet and Clank. Number 3, It Takes Two. And number 2, Resident Evil Village. And at number 1, Returnal. Where's your PlayStation fanboy?
No one's mentioned that.
He's a PlayStation fanboy, and he loves it. That's good, man. That's a good top 5 there. Griffey gives his top 5. Griffey now, number 5. I can't accept it because this game has been out for like
it's
over
not
10
Minecraft,
years.
is it?
No, number 5 for Griffey is EVE Online.
Oh, right.
The game is so old, man. How can you have it in there? Tell me. I know you're listening live. Tell me why it deserves to be in your top 5, because I don't believe it.
It might have come out on mobile phone or something this year.
No. But yeah, I don't accept it. Anyway, number 4, Gloomhaven, which is actually quite a cool board game on Steam. Number 3, Valheim. So it's 2 people with Valheim now. Number 3, Forza Horizon 5. Hang on a minute. He's got 2 number 3s. The fuck?
He's snuck in an honourable mention.
Yeah, it goes 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. I was just looking at that like, that don't look right. Like, what the hell? Okay, so we'll scrap EVE Online.
You might have ultimate. Well, you can scrap the one that you like. Oh, don't accept that.
I'm not accepting that. Okay, so number 5, Gloomhaven. Number 4, Valheim. Number 3, Forza Horizon 5. Number 2, Diablo 2 Resurrected. And at number 1, Halo Infinite. Okay, Big Macca says number 5, F1 2021. Number 4, Returnal. That's 2 people with Returnal now. Number 3, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Again, Ratchet and Clank's on someone else's list. I can't be wrong there then. Number 2, Resident Evil. I think this is going to win the overall game of the year if we tally everyone together, to be honest. And at number 1, Forza Horizon 5.
So, I think that would be quite high up as well.
It
Forza
will be,
5
100%.
And Halo.
Okay. AJ Giza. Number 5, The Ascent. That's been in a few people's now. Number 4, Microsoft Flight Simulator. I will accept it because it came out on the Xbox in 2021. And number 3, Insurgency Sandstorm. Again, I will accept it because it came out on consoles in 2021. Great game. Number 2, Forza Horizon 5. And at number 1, Halo Infinite. Good choices. Dodo. Number 5, Evil Genius 2 World Domination. Okay. Number 4, Dyson Sphere Program. Some of these games I've never heard of. Number 3, Loop Hero. Number 2,
I think I've heard of that one.
Death's Door. And at number 1, Age of Empires 4.
Nice, yeah, Death's Door. That was on Games Pass, wasn't it? Or Game
was
Pass.
it?
So, I believe so. It looked reasonably decent as well, and a lot of people on Twitter enjoyed it when it came out.
I've never even heard of it, mate, so shows how in the loop I am. Who was I up to? St. Adams is top 5. Number 5, NBA 2K22. Number 4, Back 4 Blood. Number 3, Forza Horizon 5. Number 2, this is I think this is probably the only time I'm going to see this in a list. Battlefield 2042. Okay. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow. Turner, he says, in my opinion, live games should be able to be included as they are constantly updated with new content and aren't the same year to year. Okay. Interesting feedback there. Okay, number 5, Back 4 Blood. Number 4, Ready or Not. Ready or Not is great, and I I've been playing that a lot the last few weeks, but I mean, for me, no, there's. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think it's not been out long enough. I've not played it enough to add it into on Wench or anything, but it is a great game. Number 3, Resident Evil Village. Dude, your top 2 are games that have been out for ages. I don't know if I can accept these at all. But his number 2 is...
Is it an expansion?
No, his number 2 is League of Legends. And his number 1 is Destiny.
But the original?
Well, he's just put Destiny, so... You know, I don't think I can accept his top 2. I have to strike them for the record. Okay, Clarky79. At number 5, Rocket League. How can you add that again? The game didn't come out last year, dude. Stricken from the record. Number 4, Flight Simulator. Accepted. Number 3, The Gunk, which I really want to play, actually. It looks really, really fun. Number 2, Battlefield 2042. That's on 2 people's list now. I'm quite amazed. And at number 1, Forza Horizon 5. Not bad choices. Mr. Jelly. His number 5 is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Number 4, Far Cry 6.
Another one for you, mate.
Yeah. Number 3, Resident Evil. Number 2 is Binding of Isaac Repentance DLC. And we have said that DLCs do count now, so we'll have to accept it. On technicality. And at number 1, Returnal. Well, there's a few people who've got Returnal in there now, isn't there?
Indeedly doodly.
So I've got some people talking about Tarkov. Apparently, it officially released 27th of July 2017. So it has to be stricken from the record. Thank you, Big Macca, for clarifying that. He is our independent adjudicator. Cool. All right. Where was I? Okay, I did Jellies. Sly Almond. Okay, I'm going to go in the order that you put your pictures because you didn't actually do a 5-1. He says his criteria was remasters were ineligible. Full remakes were allowed. He says that Mass Effect 2 remastered and Alan Wake remasters would have been top otherwise. Okay, so his top 5 are number 5, Ratchet and Clank. Number 4, Forza Horizon 5. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2, Life is Strange True Colours with the Power of Feelings. And at number 1, Halo Infinite. Okay. Moving on to Frosty, Darkest Frost. Number 5, Halo Infinite. Number 4, Gloomhaven. Number 3, Demio. His number 2 is a little bit of a technicality, but I think I will have to allow it. Is the Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life DLC, which is the Captain Jack Sparrow expansion, and it was massive, so it's actually like its own game in its own right. So on a technicality, Frosty, we'll let that slide. And his number 1 is It Takes Two.
There that is again.
Yeah, it's in a lot. Okay, Rooski Doo. Top 5. Number 5, The Artful Escape. You heard of that one?
I've heard of it, yeah, but...
And number 4, It Takes Two.
Sure.
Number 3, Rubber Bandits. Never heard of that either.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
And number 2, again, Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life expansion. And his number 1 is Hades.
Was that this year?
I think it released on Xbox in 2021. Again, a technicality. Right, I've got a couple on Twitter. Oh no, because they added them in Discord after I asked them to. I'm just going to check Facebook. There's a few people on there that I'm just going to read out. There's only 4. Okay, John Mulholland, his top 5. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 4, The Gunk. Number 3, Hitman 3. Did that come out last year? It did, didn't it?
I think it did.
Bloody
Yeah,
hell, I completely
early
forgot about
last
that.
year, wasn't it?
Wow.
Or was it the year? No, I'm trying to think.
No, it was last year.
No, if it was last year, then the years actually are lasting longer than I think.
20th of January 2021.
Fucking
Wow.
hell, I completely forgot about that one. That was really good as well. Shit. Okay. Number 2, Halo Infinite. And at number 1, Resident Evil Village. Good choices there, John. All right, moving on to Stephen Stokes. His number 5 is Forza Horizon 5. Number 4 is a game that I haven't seen anyone else mention. It's Psychonauts 2. Anyone actually?
A lot of people liked that. You played it, didn't you? Or
yeah, I did the level, and I just thought
again?
It's not real. I can be fucked. Can be fucked, mate. AJ says strike Hades. Gonna have to go to an adjudication for that one. Anyway, number 3 for Stephen is Ratchet and Clank. Number 2, Halo Infinite, and at number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. We're seeing a repeat of a few games here. Okay, Paul has a very good list. Number 5, Hitman 3. Awesome. The Last Stop at number 4. I've never heard of Last Stop. I need to check some of these games out that people are listing. I've never heard of it. Number 3.
Could put you onto a hidden gem.
You might do. Number 3, Far Cry 6. Good choice. Number 2, Forza Horizon. And at number 1, Halo Infinite. And last but not least, Gavin Wolford. Number 5, Resident Evil Village. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Psychonauts 2. Number 2, Halo Infinite. Yep. And at number 1, not surprised by this, Forza Horizon 5. Wow.
That's what I mean. Like, there's that talk about the fact that there's a lot of games on a lot of people's lists there.
Yeah, and some of them, I'm actually really surprised. Like, I'm really not on the ball like I used to be. Like, so a lot of those games I've never even heard of, dude. Are they Game Pass games? I need to go and search for these games, man.
There's like could be Steam games, indie games.
Yeah. AJ saying that Last Stop is great. So another person who's recommended that as well. Yeah, man. I think there's been some good games that we've missed out on by the looks of it. Cool. But I do think, just off the top of my head there, it looks like Resident Evil and Forza are going to be the top 2 games.
And Halo.
And Halo, top 3, yeah. And we need to get Sly to do his tallying like he does most years, just to give us a little graph. It's always interesting to see.
He's actually got a life now, so maybe not.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. He might be able to do it for us again. I can't be asked for stuff like that. It's busy work. Got editing to do. Anyway, anything else you guys want to mention? Anyone in the Twitch want to add any games into their lists before we end? Because we are about to end the show. 2 hours. I think that's plenty enough time, man. I've had a really good time. I think in general, there's been a lot of great games in those lists. To be fair, Nikki, I'm not saying Shenmue, man. It's like it didn't come out last year.
It came out somewhere last year.
Yeah, cool. Well, on that note, then I think everyone's lists have been really varied and really, really interesting to see. Me and Darren were very similar on some of the games, which I wasn't surprised about, to be honest.
No, as I was putting the list together, I was kind of like, that's going to be on Webbies, that'll be on Webbies, that should be on Webbies.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a few more anime games from you two than I thought there would be, though. And I don't know why I didn't think there wouldn't be as many as there was.
I only had one.
But no, it's cool, man. It's really interesting to see the different variety of games that people play. I really enjoy that aspect. Would be boring if we all played the same stuff. So, and it kind of opens your eyes to other games that you might want to try and stuff as well, So, I do want to play. It
doesn't matter what anyone say on their Game of the Year list. If you like it, like the look of it, and you play it, you enjoy it, then that's a good game for you.
But if that game didn't come out in 2021, then it doesn't count. Just saying it now.
Game came out like 10 years ago.
But because I'm the host, Final Fantasy 14 is allowed to be in every single year. Because I
The only
overrule
good news is that's officially over now. No more Final Fantasy 14 ever.
Until the next expansion hits with a whole new storyline, and then people are going to roll their eyes again. Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's called Endwalker. It's the end. There's no more.
There's never any end.
The end of that story.
Oh, great. So there is going to be more.
Yeah, they've already said they've got a lot more plans. I mean, you wouldn't exactly go, you know what, we've got a really successful game here. Possibly the main game that's keeping our company afloat. Let's kill it.
Yeah, that's it.
Konami did it.
Well, shall we talk about the VR stuff next week? Because I don't know too much about it, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll save everything else for next week now. We've gone on for just over 2 hours talking about the games of the year for 2021. It's been epic, man. It's just, I really like doing these shows every year because it gives you a really good chance just to look back over the previous year. It does, because Resident Evil feels like it came out so long ago now. It's just nice to go back and rethink about that. And I also just really enjoy seeing other people's lists because there's games that have come up this year and they have in previous years that you've either never heard of or you kind of heard of, but that kind of gives you the extra push to try something different, and it's just something I really enjoy. So thank you everyone for chiming in with your top fives in the community. Really do appreciate it. And obviously big thank you to Darren and Nikki for coming on and sharing their top fives as well. Excellent times indeed. Cool. So on that note, I think we're going to end it here, guys, yeah? Yeah, sweet.
Yes.
Cool. So for me, Mark Webb, Gamertag, Pearson D, Steam ID, Webby360G.
Fights on the Twitter and the Twitch and other stuff.
And Sensei Switch, and I pretty much bet some people's Game of the Year lists next year will be probably taken up by some of the games coming out in February.
Probably. We'll talk about those next week. So, again, thank you very much for listening to the show, everybody. Next week's show is Patreon week, so if you want to listen to the full show for next week, you need to either listen live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Webby360G or sign up to the Patreon at patreon.com/360gamercast. £5 a month gives you a show every single week of the year. I've also got another show being lined up at the minute for the Patreons, another conspiracy show with my mate Damo, so I'm looking forward to doing that at some point in the near future. Clarky's just said before we end, we should have a in memorial section for all the hosts that we've lost throughout the years. There'll be quite a few. Yeah. But no, it's
just wandering around.
Yeah, that's it. So on that note, there is a show next week. As I said, it's Patreon week. Sign up to the Patreon. Also join the Discord. I'm in the process at the moment of building an Android app for the podcast. It's in very early stages. I'm doing it as part of a project. And I've actually in the process of almost pretty much finished doing a questionnaire. And I'm going to be putting the link to that questionnaire for people to fill in the Discord. I need as many people as possible to answer the questions on that questionnaire. I need it to help me with my project. Really, really important for me personally. So if everyone can fill that in, that would be amazeballs and be as honest as possible. And on that note, that's it. So thank you very much. We will see you, hopefully, on Twitch live next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. or on the Patreon. A big shout out to people on Twitch. Clarky, Knobster, AJ Geezer. Who else is on there? Griffey, Big Macca. Faithful Wish. Nick Fights. Hello, Nicky.
No.
You're all awesome. And obviously, can't forget the awesome Patreons. You're all super awesome. I can't read you all out again because, you know, there's 27 of you now. Just double checking. Yes, 27 of you now. Big thank you. But we've got the highest paying people, the VIPs and the all access, Wes, Phil, and John. Super awesome. So yeah, sign up. Anyway, that is the end of the show. I'm going to stop rambling and we will see you next week. Goodbye.